Welcome, my friends, to Inside the Minds of Authors. I'm DC Gomez, and I'm thrilled you're joining me today for a fun conversation with a passionate author. We're kicking off the program, like it's our tradition, with a short reading from the feature book. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get started.
Hello, hi. I am Rahel Tesfaledet, and I am the author of Kinza's World Magical Travel Adventures, and it's a series. It is a children's picture book, and I am also a teacher, and I have lived and taught in school systems in the Middle East, the US, Japan, so I've been around. So this is the first book of my series. It is a story featuring BIPOC characters, and it basically features themes of world travel, diversity and inclusion, and just basically representation in children's literature. One day in her classroom, during her favorite subjects, history and geography, she sat in front of a world globe. She closed her eyes, spun the globe, and pointed her finger. Her finger landed on Japan. She closed her eyes again, and something told her to say the word swish. All of a sudden, she felt her shoes vibrate. She looked down, and her eyes grew wide, and her mouth opened in awe. Her shoes were glowing, glittering gold. They looked magical. She closed her eyes, said swish, and took a big jump.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Inside the Minds of Authors. I'm excited you guys are joining us today. I have an incredible children's author for us, so this is going to be a fun interview. Hello, madam. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I am wonderful. I am thrilled you're here with us, and I'm going to jump right in. I want us to tell us, what is the background of this story and what made you decide to write it?
Well, this story is based on my world travels. That's what I guess got me to start writing this book. And then it was the need for representation in children's literature, because when I was a kid, we didn't really have that in our children's books. So I saw that need, and then I saw the need to talk about topics that were more than just like my hair is different and my skin is different and learn about me. It's just more about let's learn about each other, and let's learn about the world outside of our own. Let's learn about different places in the world. And so I wanted it to be not just like fantasy, but to be also a teaching tool to teach like history and geography and languages. So yeah, that's why I started the series.
How many books do you have in this series?
Well, I have one that's out and one that is coming up in the next few months.
Awesome. When you're looking at your population, who are you targeting in terms of children? How old are they?
The children that tend to like my book, ages of about 4 to 10.
Whenever you started to create this series, and I love the fact that you're looking at it, how do I bring it to the classroom? How do I get kids excited about it? For every book that you're creating, do you have specific elements you want to cover, or it's just this is the story I want to take? How do you take that on?
Well, I basically narrowed down places, and I guess more historical places, and kind of look at the places maybe that children don't really learn about in school. So it's something that's new for them, and there's a lot of history that goes behind it, and then also the cultural, like what people wear culturally. That's a big part of my book as well. So it really is about inclusion, and I focus on people and places that are not really talked about generally in children's books.
How much research are you doing? Because you're bringing a whole different aspects that most people are not even going to think about. If you're looking at the clothes, you're bringing the diversity into it. How much research and how do you go about conducting it?
Well, there is quite a bit of research that goes into it. And some of these places, I've been myself as well. So it is something that's personal for me too. So I bring that into it. But for each book in the series, I have to narrow down like what I want to speak up because then it could just go on and on, right? It can really just go on. If I'm focusing on like a whole continent, like it can really go on and on. So I have to narrow down what I would like to focus on. And then from there, there's a lot of research that goes into each part because that has to feature like food, language, clothing, all sorts of things.
How long does it take you to put each book together? Because you're looking at all these different pieces and you also are you illustrating your own books?
Well, I do the rough sketches of them. So that's all from me because I want each like picture to look a certain way to represent a certain parts of that culture. So I do all the and then obviously, like I have to get someone to do it actually. But the whole process takes about close to a year.
That's one of the things about children's books that most people kind of are not aware is how much longer it takes and how many different moving pieces you have. Because once you write the story and you're editing your story to make it as concise as possible, then you're looking for illustrators and you're looking for coloring people and you're looking for all these pieces.
Yeah.
Do you have the same artist working with you from one book to the other?
Because I want to keep it consistent and there's, a certain look that I'm looking for. So yeah, I've been working with the same, layout person and to just keep it consistent.
It's a good way to establish the brand and help people get familiar with it. So once they have the series, they know what to expect. What is book two going to be about?
Oh, well, it's kind of a surprise.
Okay.
But it'll be a similar kind of concept to part one because part one, she goes to Asia. So it will be a similar kind of concept. Yeah.
Okay.
But she'll be going somewhere else.
Awesome. We're going to switch focus a little bit, go a little bit about what you enjoy about this process. What made you decide to do a children's book? Because you could have done anything.
Yeah, I could have done anything, and I've always wanted to write. And that's one thing that I knew for sure. I think what inspired me to do the children's book was just the fact that I'm a teacher and I teach young kids. And when I had started this book about 2 years ago, I had just had my son. And it was right in the beginning of the pandemic. So that inspired me because of the fact that I think I want him and children like him to learn the benefits of travel and how it changes you as a person. It makes you think differently. And I see like the benefits of that for kids. They are our future, really. And to have them think in a more diverse and inclusive way, and like to know that there is a world outside of what you know, right? I think it makes them better leaders. That was my motivation.
Where did you find the time? Because you are a new mom. How do you balance your schedule?
Well, then it was a little bit easier, surprisingly, because I wasn't teaching at the time, right? Because I was on my mat leave and there was a pandemic, everything was shut down. And it was quite challenging to do it with a new baby. I just think during the pandemic, I think people found a lot of time to do things that they probably would have never done before. Starting all these new hobbies and stuff like that. So, yeah, that really did help. And then, like, now that things are fairly back to normal, it's becoming harder to find that time balancing teaching and balancing my son and just balancing life in general. But I just have to carve it out, like even if it's staying up late, getting up early, because when it's something that you're passionate about, as you know, it just something just moves you and drives you.
I love it. So, what was one thing you learned that you were not expecting from this journey? You're like, oh, I had no idea about that.
I had no idea about besides the process of what really goes into it because you can write the book and could sit there, but then after, if you're a new author, you don't really, you're like, yeah, the whole system's just new to you. Well, what do I do next? Oh, well, you have to find someone that actually can publish your book. Oh, I didn't know that. There's so many unknowns, right? So there's all those technical things, and then how, like, how much marketing that you need to do. And I think that the writing is the easy part, right? And then after, there's like a lot of, well, are children really going to be receptive to this? Are they going to like it? It's that kind of that doubt, and that, oh, is it just me that thinks that this is good?
I think we all go through that. We all have those questions in the back of our mind. I'm like, I have this book, but are they going to read it? So I can completely understand that.
Yeah.
As a new author, what advice would you give another new author?
Write about something you're passionate about, not because you think it's going to sell, or something you're passionate about. From my own personal experiences, I've been saying that I've been wanting to write a book for years, years. And I would say just start, even if it's just one line, just start. Because I think once you start, that's when everything just starts to flow. But if it's just in your head, it'll always just be in your head. So, like, you actually have to put the pen to the paper, even if just one word. Just start.
Starting is usually the hardest part, and you said it so well. The writing is the easiest when it comes to publishing a book. One of the things I think everybody has to remember, you don't have to publish, you can just write. It's
Mhm.
okay to write and enjoy the process
Yeah.
without having to publish. So, absolutely. What keeps you motivated? You said when you have that passion, you keep going. But what is that one thing that keeps you motivated? It's like, I'm going to keep doing this.
I think it's just because I have such a passion for traveling as well. That is my true passion in life. And that, just like learning about different places and like learning about different cultures, it's something that I love. And I think that's what drives me. And I want it to be a learning resource, to be used in schools, to be used in school boards, libraries. So I want this to be like not just a book. I want it to be something that is just a learning tool. And so I think that's what I strive for and what drives me.
Like it. I love to travel, so I can completely understand the journey. So it's really awesome. Are you working on anything else besides book two? Or is that the next project you have going on?
Well, yeah, well, that's first and foremost. I am also looking into developing some e-courses related to children's health and children's mental health and stuff like that. Those two things. And so my next book is my primary next project. Yeah.
You have a lot of things going on. You're looking at books as well as courses, which I think is awesome. So yes, you're definitely one busy lady. Let's just put it out there. So I love it. So dear, tell us, where can our listeners and our viewers find you, where they can find the book, where they can learn more about you?
Yeah, they can visit my website at www.kenzasworldmagicaltraveladventures.com. They can also find me on IG at Kenzas underscore world underscore MTA. My book can be found on several online platforms, I believe Bookshop, Amazon, as well as some local bookstores in Toronto, if people are here, like in Toronto. I also have ebooks as well on my website as well. So you can also just purchase from me from my website.
You have multiple places for listeners to get it. Readers can get it directly from you. They can get it from their favorite bookstore. So it's always really fun. So, question, Madame, are you
Mhm.
ready for the lightning round?
Yes.
Easy peasy. Do not think too hard of this. Let's do this.
Okay.
Cold drinks or hot? Which one do you prefer?
Hot.
Okay. Beach or lake?
Beach.
Okay. Desktop or laptops?
Laptop.
Okay. Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Here is a little different. Let's see how you do with this one. If you had a warning label, what would it be?
What? Uh, Coffee first.
I like that. I actually I have a lot of people who fall in that category, so I can completely understand.
Yep.
It has been such a pleasure having you. Do you have any closing remarks for us?
It was a pleasure being here with you. Thank you so much for having me and featuring Kinza's World. And I hope to connect with the listeners and look out for my next book.
Awesome. To our listeners, make sure you go ahead, pick up this fun book, get yourself lost in a really fun story. If you have little ones, you know they're going to love it. So, absolutely. Madam, thank you so much. Congratulations on the book.
Thank
Congratulations
you.
on the ones coming up. So, let's do a happy dance for that.
Thank
Make
you.
Make sure everyone go ahead, give us a like, review this podcast, share with others. Know we're always better when we're growing together. And we will be back next week with another amazing author. Bye, everyone.